Waking up at 3 a.m. is no coincidence. God is calling you. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night for no apparent reason? The clock reads 3 a.m., maybe 4 SAS. The world is quiet, the city sleeps, but for some reason your eyes just open. Your heart senses something, even if you can't put it into words. Maybe you've brushed it off as random insomnia. Blamed the coffee you drank too late. But what if it's something more? What if this sudden awakening is actually a call? Since ancient times, God has chosen the quietest hours of the night to speak to his people. Moses climbed Mount Sinai. Before dawn, David poured out his soul in psalms while the world was asleep, and Jesus, he often withdrew to pray when the night was at its darkest. This isn't a coincidence. There's something powerful about this hour. The early morning is when everything else fades away, when the distractions of the day are gone, when the noise of life has died down, when God's voice can be heard more clearly than ever. And now, think about this. What if he's trying to speak to you? In the quiet of the night, when the world is asleep, God moves differently. He doesn't always shout. He doesn't shake the earth or part the seas like he did in the days of Moses. Sometimes he whispers, and that whisper, it's easy to miss. Elijah learned this firsthand. After calling fire down from heaven, after standing boldly against the prophets of Baal, he found himself running, afraid, exhausted, and hiding in a cave. He expected God to show up in power, maybe in a mighty wind, or an earthquake, or fire from the heavens. But none of those carried God's voice. Instead, it came as a gentle whisper. That's the thing about God. He often speaks in ways that require us to slow down, to be still, to really listen. And that's why the early morning hours are so special. The distractions are gone. The notifications, the emails, the to-do lists, all of it fades away. It's just you and him. If you've been waking up at 3 a.m., maybe it's not random. Maybe, just maybe, God is trying to get your attention. There's something about the hours between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. that feels different. If you've ever been awake at that time, you know exactly what I mean. The air feels heavier. The silence feels deeper. It's like the world is holding its breath. Many call this the witching hour, a time of spiritual activity, both good and bad. But in the Bible, this time holds a different significance. It's often called the divine hour, a window where heaven feels closer, where prayers seem to carry more weight. Think about it. Jesus prayed in Gethsemane late into the night, agonizing over the cross that awaited him. Paul and Silas worshipped in a prison cell at midnight, and their chains literally broke. Samuel heard God call his name while he was lying down in the temple, long after everyone else had fallen asleep. God has always used the stillness of night to do his most powerful work. So what if that sudden awakening at 3 a.m. isn't just your body acting up? What if it's an invitation to pray, an invitation to listen, an invitation to step into something deeper than you've ever known before? There's a reason you keep waking up. Maybe you've dismissed it as a coincidence. Maybe you've rolled over, pulled the blanket tighter, and forced yourself back to sleep. But what if that stirring in your soul is something greater? Think of Samuel. He was just a boy lying in the temple when he heard a voice call his name. Samuel! He woke up, confused, assuming it was Eli, the priest. But Eli hadn't called him. It happened again and again, until finally Eli realized this wasn't a human voice. It was God. How many times has he called your name in the quiet hours of the night? God speaks in many ways. Through scripture, through dreams, through a deep, unshakable feeling in your spirit. But too often, we're too busy, too distracted, too consumed by our schedules to listen. So sometimes he waits until the world is silent, until you are still enough to hear him. The next time you wake up at 3 a.m., don't just roll over. Instead, ask, Lord, is that you? And just like Samuel, be ready to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Not every midnight wake-up call is a random occurrence. Sometimes it's a divine appointment. In the Bible, the night is full of encounters with God. Jacob wrestled with an angel until dawn. Peter was set free from prison by an angel while he slept. The wise men followed a star, traveling under the cover of darkness to meet Jesus. God moves in ways we don't always expect, and often he works in the unseen hours. What if these moments, these sudden awakenings, are not just disruptions, but invitations, an open door into something sacred? A moment designed specifically for you, where heaven leans in, where God is waiting to meet you in the quiet? You don't need elaborate words. You don't need a perfect prayer. You just need a willing heart. Because sometimes the most powerful moments with God happen when no one else is watching. There's a reason prayer feels different in the middle of the night. Maybe it's because the world is asleep. And for once, there's no rush, no pressure, no distractions. Maybe it's because there's something about the darkness that makes us more honest, more open, more vulnerable before God. Jesus understood this. That's why he often withdrew to pray at night, away from the noise, away from the crowds. In Gethsemane, his prayers were so intense that he sweat drops of blood. He was alone, but in that solitude, he was closer to the Father than ever. When you wake up at 3 a.m., what if, just for a moment, you embrace the stillness? What if you whisper a prayer, even if it's just a simple "God, I'm here"? Because sometimes the prayers whispered in the darkness become the breakthroughs we see in the light. Maybe you've been feeling lost. Maybe you've been searching for answers, for direction, for something more, and maybe, just maybe, this is God's way of getting your attention. If you've been waking up in the middle of the night, it's not by accident. There is a reason. It could be that he wants to reveal something to you. Maybe he's placing someone on your heart to pray for. Maybe he's trying to prepare you for something ahead. Or maybe he just wants to remind you that you are not alone. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: he sees you, he hears you, and he is speaking. Will you listen? Now the question is, what will you do with this? You can ignore it, you can dismiss it as just another restless night, or you can see it for what it truly is: a divine invitation. An invitation to wake up, not just physically but spiritually, to draw near to God in a way you never have before, to step into his presence, to seek him in the quiet hours, to listen for his voice in the stillness. Because when God calls, it's never without purpose. So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., don't just ask why, instead ask what now, because when you answer his call, your life will never be the same. So here we are. Maybe you've been waking up in the middle of the night wondering why. Maybe this whole time you thought it was just a coincidence, just your body playing tricks on you. But now you know better. God doesn't waste moments. If he's waking you up, it's for a reason. Maybe he wants to speak to you. Maybe he's calling you into a deeper relationship with him. Maybe there's something he's been trying to show you, but the noise of life has been too loud to hear it. The question is, what will you do with this invitation? Will you roll over and go back to sleep, ignoring the whisper of the Almighty? Or will you sit up, open your heart, and listen? Because here's the truth: those quiet moments in the dark, they might just be the most sacred moments of your life. If this message spoke to your heart, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced waking up at this hour and feeling like something deeper was happening? What do you think God might be trying to tell you? Let's talk about it in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more messages like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That way, you won't miss what's coming next. God bless you.